Newspapers. Publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Welcome. Sports on your Monday afternoon. What a great sports day. What a great sports day. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk a lot about baseball. It's dog days of summer are arriving. We're going to have a full lineup of baseball talk. Bill Bloxham, Rich Patera from Sports Fairfield, Rocco Veluzzo. This is John Kovach with you on a Nutmeg Sports regular, well, let's call it a rogue edition. Don Eng and A.J. Simonowski on the controls across the way. Rob Adams is going to join us later. Rob is off on a special assignment. He's scheduled to check in with us later, and we'll talk about some stuff. And I'm certain that we are going to talk about what is unfolding right now in Scotland, where one of the biggest sports stories in decades just came to an end in dramatic fashion. We're not going to see a grand slam from Jordan Spieth this year, guys.
No, and I was optimistic for a while. It seemed to me like he was going to do it. He put on a bit of a charge. I thought we were actually going to see this year, after all these decades, I thought we were going to see a racing Triple Crown and not one but two grand slams with Spieth and Serena. Not going to happen, at least not with Spieth, but we'll see.
Tough to bet against Serena.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're going into a playoff there. And this is my favorite way of doing a golf playoff is what they're doing over there in Scotland right now on the old course at St. Andrews, where it's a 4-hole aggregate playoff. It's not sudden death where a bad shot kills you. It's not a full 18, make everybody sleep on it. It's the happy medium that I like.
I did not know that was the case, and now that I do, I like that.
It's It's always been. It's a 4-hole, and then it becomes sudden death if they're still tied after 4.
I lean more towards preferring the U.S. Open style where they play the full round. I feel like sudden death can be too anticlimactic. If you get lucky and you hit one amazing shot, that could win or lose it for you. But give yourself a couple of holes to really duke it out. I think that's a better choice.
The thing I don't like about the U.S. Open, and let's bring Bill Bloxham, sports editor for Hersam Acorns, on the phone. Bill's coming on to talk American Legion ball with us, but I love talking sports with Bill, so we're going to get to him in a second with his thoughts on this. I love the U.S. Open concept of the 18-hole playoff. I hate it being on a Monday, and it's a moot argument today for me to make because this is a Monday, and because of weather and wind, we're finishing the British Open on a Monday, but that's the one downfall to the U.S. Open full 18-hole playoff is that it's a Monday, and unless I don't show up for a coffee break and Nutmeg Sports or whatever game we're doing, I'm missing it.
Yeah, you can picture right now all across the country. You can picture a lot of like corporate vice president offices where people glued to their laptops.
Bill Bloxham joining us. Bill, how you doing?
Good, everybody. How are you today?
Good. Welcome back. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, to see Jordan Spieth's run end as it has today. Your thoughts, Bill?
Yeah, I agree. After the first 2 rounds, I was looking at it, and I kind of said, okay, he's got to be 5 under in his third round, and I guess he was 6 under, just to be in the hunt. So I figured once he's, kind of like Tiger-ish or Nicholas or whatever, if you give them the scent, they usually, although he's so young at 21, but a quality player like that. But, more British Open is crazier than any in terms of how the weather can affect and do things, even though the weather has been good today. I am surprised. If I was going in today and I was living in Las Vegas, I'm sure I would have put a pound down on Spieth.
Yeah, and the weather did get crazy the other day, which is why they're finishing on a Monday. I mean, I saw some footage where people were trying to pour water from a bottle into a cup, and the water never made the cup. It got blown sideways.
People have told me to go over to Scotland. What a beautiful place, and go on a vacation there. And I agree that it probably would be, but I don't like weird weather, and I think I would find it when I got there. So I think that's the challenge of the golfers. I always, they were talking about at the U.S. Open how they were all trying to, make the grade to get to, what they call the Open. And I think that's the challenge of it, just the idea that you're doing something special on special golf courses like St. Andrews.
I was just thinking about when you mentioned the weather in Scotland, as we always joke about folks like Sean Connery, living in the Bahamas while talking about how much they love Scotland.
That is true. So Bill's joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about Legion Ball. We're right on the cusp of the playoffs, Bill.
Yeah, they did some knockout rounds. The top 40 teams in the American Legion Baseball tournament were seeded 1 through 40, and then they put them in Northern Division and then Southern Division pools. And so 3 out of the Fairfield County teams, 3 of the 5 teams that made it. They used to keep it all in your zone, and then the zone champ. They put the zone champs out. What they did this year is they kind of pooled it, seeded it, and even if you had to play one of your own, as Trumbull did yesterday with Westport, Trumbull post 141, they knocked out Westport 4-3 in a good game to get to a best of 3. This is how it goes. Okay, so you play elimination game and elimination game. These are the lower seeds. And the top seeds, or the zone champs, all have byes to a best of 3 playoff. And that's where Trumbull finds itself now. And they get the honor of going down to Cabetta to take on Stanford Senior Post and 3-time division, 3-time Zone 4 champions, and the number 2 seed out of the whole 40-seeded tournament. And Stanford has beaten them all 3 times this season. I believe the scores were 4-3, 5-3, and 11-0. The 11-0 was the second game of the doubleheader.
Stanford always strong in terms of Legion Ball. What is it that makes that team perennially a favorite in the district?
Perennially, it's just that Stanford is baseball. Their traditions there go back forever. They've been a Babe Ruth powerhouse forever. Legion team's been good, but the last 3 or 4 years, I don't know what they did with their senior Babe Ruth, because they're opposite each other. That you can get into that, but I guess that the kids have come up through their Babe Ruth systems and have stayed home. But the interesting thing about Stanford, which is 24-3 coming into the tournament as the number 2 seed, is their pitching. How do these names strike you? Randy Polonia, Kevin Stone, Grant Stone, Billy DeVito Jr., and then there's only 6 others between Stanford and King and West Hill, and it just so happens that 2 from Fairfield Prep. The Stone brothers, they live in Stanford. Right. And then you have Randy Polonia from Trinity Catholic. So that's loading the wagon before you put the horses in.
One of the things, and I love American Legion Ball, I think it's the best baseball for that age group that you see, particularly in this area. When you see these towns that have multiple high schools and then see the Legion team that's assembled when they're all on 1-9, and think what might be if they were all on the same high school team, just leaves you shaking your head.
I agree, and I can't put a year on it. I should be able to, but let me just say 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was where your kids went to school. So Stanford at this point in time, would say, okay, all the Stanford kids have to, Stanford high schools have to play in your town. They don't have a choice. But then if any Stanford players are playing at Trinity Catholic, or Stanford players are playing at King or whichever, you have to add them to your thing, but you have to take their whole enrollment. You don't just get that one player. So sometimes, let's say a Milford team, which would have somebody that's playing at Notre Dame, West Haven, or Fairfield Prep, or at St. Joseph's, they'd have to say, okay, we're going to take 2 places. We're going to have to leave guys out. So finally, and then there was always these border disputes, and did he live here? Did he move into his mother's house? All this crazy kind of stuff. And then they finally just said, okay, hey, you want to play Legion ball? You play on your hometown team, and that's it. And it's really, really worked itself out very well, taken out all the subterfuge that never really happened, but it just was always nice as baseball people like to talk anyway. And it's just gotten down to baseball. And, you can say Stanford's loaded, but, that's just the way it is. Those are the Stanford kids, and they would have had 2 high schools. But, yeah, that's always been the case, whether it's Foreign and Jonathan Y. in Milford, or Bunnell and Stratford, or West Hill and Stanford, or Brian McMahon, in Norwalk, and those guys. They always just say, oh, boy, if we could get it all together. And in the summertime, they get that opportunity to do that.
Who are some of the dark horses in Legion ball as we start the tournament?
Well, it was interesting. I was talking to Mike Suppy, my cohort up here, in doing our papers, the assistant sports editor for me, and I'm his assistant in the other papers. And we were talking about this, and all the Northern Division schools, zones, the Middletowns, the Avons, and that way, Southingtons, all their seeded teams, they went pure chalk, 1 through 8. 1 is playing 8, 2 is playing 6, the whole thing. And down in our zones, and I say it's because of the strengths, and Mike agreed with me, everybody's been knocking everybody off. The seeds don't mean anything. Trumbull's a 10 seed, and now they're playing the 2 seed. Orange, a perennial powerhouse, gets knocked out by Hamden. There's no, dark horse would be like a guy like a Stanford. If for some reason they had injuries and then they came back. I think all the records pretty much are what they are, and then like in all Legion tournaments you're playing, right now you'll be playing a best of 3, with the winners then going to the Final 4 of each division, which the Southern Division, which is the Trumbull Division, and the Stanford Division, of which we're talking about. And Greenwich also made it into these best of 3 series. So we have the 3 Zone 4 teams. Then they'll go to Palmer Field. The winners of these best of 3 series will go to Palmer, play a best of 4, Final 4, and then they cross over with the other divisions to get a state champion. So I couldn't tell you an underdog. Trumbull, well, how's this for an underdog? Trumbull going against Stanford. John, I'm sure, John, you're totally familiar with the way the high school seasons went this year.
I am to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, Trumbull and St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's, a very young team, had, but basically very good 15, 14 win records, this and
right.
that, and went far. But when you're looking at the all-state teams and the all this, and not taking away from any one of the players, they're not there. And then you look at the Stanford team, and 3 of their pitchers are on the are all-state. So you look at that. Okay, Stanford has played 27 games so far this season, given up 38 runs.
Oh my God,
that's a pretty good
scored
return.
188. Yes, scoring 188.
Oh my
so, they're like
Lord.
right under 7, and right over 1. And Trumbull, which has been their way. I mean, it's just amazing the games that they've won this year. I did mention that Stanford will bring a 24-3 record in. Well, Trumbull was 19-8. 3 of the losses to Stanford, 2 by 1 run. So, but talking about close to the vets, they're like a 4. They're scoring 4 runs a game and giving up 3.
Oof. Keep it
so
interesting.
All of their games. Oh, exactly. All of their games like that. And I was looking at the box scores. Even the Stanford doubleheader, at least the first game, both teams had 5 hits. One team had 2 errors. One team didn't. Trumbull had the 2 errors. They lose 4-3. It's just it's a lot of fun. This is a fun time of year to see the best players play.
Oh yeah.
It'll be interesting because it opens up at Wednesday at Cabetta. This best of 3, the one we're speaking of today, and the winner. Obviously winner plays next two, but then it's a doubleheader. If the loser on Wednesday, they're going to have to win back-to-back games the second day. So your pitching staff is really going to be, put to the test. And when you look at Stanford's, it's hard to say that over 3 games. If that's the key. That's the best thing about a best of 3 series, as you were just talking about with the golf type of thing, where it's just whole. Well, you don't get one hole here. You get the 4 holes like you do with the British Open, and you're going to have to be good for 3 games to win this thing. And you're pitching, you can't just get we got a spark out of this guy, and their number 1 guy got lit up, and now what do we do? You're going to have to beat another team's pitching staff, 2 out of 3. And I think that's fair, and I think any team that gets out of these best of 3s will deserve everything they got.
What else is going on? I know we're less than a month from the official start of football practice.
Well, the other thing we got going on, and we're going to be well involved with it, is the Trumbull Babe Ruth 15-year-old regional tournament, which is being hosted at Trumbull High School this weekend, and that's going to be exciting. You have a lot of rivals that'll be meeting each other again. Pittsfield will be coming down. 2 Massachusetts teams will be coming down, and Trumbull is the host team, and Trumbull is the team that's went up there, and they won the 14-year-old tournament against those teams. And when you have age brackets like that, where 13s play 13s and then 14s, you have the same teams meeting each other season to season. So that's going to be very interesting. So we have that as an aside to our baseball. With the Legions going into their state tournaments, and the Babe Ruth teams are in their state tournaments and moving on to New England regionals as well. And as you say, then we turn the corner, and we just had the Grip It and Rip It football tournament, which I was away for, but I thought you did a good job getting down there and seeing what that was all about. And that's got to get the juices flowing again, just seeing football players out on the field again.
Oh, yeah. And it sparks that interesting discussion that John Marinelli touched on in that story and on Nutmeg Sports that Tuesday. Excuse me. About the CIAC is really cracking down on football coaches working at all with the kids, particularly in these passing leagues. They see it as a loophole, and a lot of guys are really trying to keep more than an arm's length away from these passing leagues to keep from getting into trouble.
I read it. It was very interesting, and I like both takes of it because I like the fact that let's Brett Favre it, or in our day let's Joe Namath it, or whatever. Let's throw some plays in the dirt and see what we got going here. Let the quarterbacks and the receivers get in their own heads. Let them, be a little fast and loose with it. Let's see what we really have. Without the coaches in the huddle calling that play and then watching it, and then the kid stumbling out of his starting blocks and, we're not throwing to him again. That kind of stuff. Or the playground stuff, like, I find a favorite receiver, I'm going to go to him. You've earned my trust, you've earned my respect. And it's for the defensive backs, the shell that they work. I just think that's great because it's always going to be different every season. You're never going to get four defensive backs or the linebacker or the back 7 going the same players year to year unless you were very young the year before. So, they get to, see and create some leadership, with who's calling the signals and the sets, and, see who the speed guy is, see who the short cover guy is. So, yeah, I love the whole thing of it, and I actually like the fact that the coaches aren't involved.
See, you suburban guys talk about drawing plays in the dirt. For kids like me, it was always, go down to the red Toyota, take a left, I'll get you the ball.
Exactly. I mean, what's more fun than graduating from playing what we used to call knee football in the living room?
Yep.
And then there's the sandbar. I live in Milford by the beach, so we play sandbar football. Which is about ankle high to knee high, so that 110 pounds of me could tackle 185 pounds of somebody else by jumping out his back without hurting anybody. To playing in the side yards, playing what we call pass and reception, which was just two guys on offense, one guy's on defense. You either have the same quarterback or you rotate, and you just you play and you set goal lines, and you got to guard the guy, and you can be as physical as you want. That's just great stuff. I think that's what gets kids interested, and those are the things that puts the helmets and the pads on later on as they get older.
You're narrating my childhood.
Well, the key is it's everybody's childhood, which is somebody's childhood, which is why my time stopped after JV football.
Yeah. But I agree with you.
But I mean, it doesn't change the thing.
Absolutely, but I agree with you on that. In that, I do like to Johnny Marinelli's point, to see where the kids go. Here it is, guy. It's your show. And see who steps up. And it tells you a lot. It tells you who's going to rise to the occasion. And you do. And I think they learn more. The best way to learn something is to teach it. So if your older kids can teach the system to your younger kids, they're getting somewhere with it.
Well, as a football coach, you know that as well. How many times have I, as a reporter, I've talked to coaches after a season, and I guess we win our games in December when in the weight room, blah 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 blah. You win the game by having captains in the locker room to coach for you, that the kids look up to, and this and that. And this summertime is a chance for either the linebacker on the defensive shell, the new quarterback to show those two receivers that are so lamenting the fact that they graduated their quarterback from last year. And now what's this guy going to do? Showing something. And you create that kind of leadership bond that you really need. And the linemen, the linemen are all working out this summer on their own. They're not at these 7-and-7 gripping rippets, but they're all getting together. And when we talked to the linemen last year when we were at the state playoffs, that's what they all said, is they got bonded over the summer.
Yep.
It's such a unit. So all coaches like to control. It's what they do because they're the ones that have to answer for all the mistakes, and they just see things in their, they're not counting sheets, they're counting flags, when they're going to sleep. But it's better, I think, to let them go and just watch these kids do what they're doing from the sidelines.
Well, it's another way that football duplicates and prepares you for the real world and the business world. It's those who can delegate are the most successful leaders. If you can delegate some of that leadership to your captains, to your assistant coaches, and get to where you can be comfortable relinquishing some of that control, that's when you're going to be successful, and that's what makes the game great.
I agree.
All right, Bill Bloxham of Hersam Acorn joining us. Have fun. These Legion playoffs are going to be great. We'll have you back on soon to talk more about that and talk
Very
about
good.
some other things. Thanks, Bill.
Talk to you next time. Be good.
Tip. Bill Bloxham joining us. John Kovach hosting Nutmeg Sports. Rob Adams on assignment. Don Egg and A.J. Seminowski on the controls. British Open in a playoff, and we'll get you updated on that. And some other things we're going to talk about, as Bill hinted on. We've got a tournament coming up in Trumbull this week, Babe Ruth tournament. We're going to be bringing you a lot of baseball this weekend on HAN Radio and streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network. Plus, we have our regular shows and whatnot. Right now, we're going to step out, reset, come back. We're going to talk about Little League, particularly Fairfield American, and the run they're on with Rich Patera of Sports Fairfield on Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com, streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network.
Breaks, sprains, injuries, and pain can now be quickly and expertly treated at Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast!
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332, and online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
August means tennis in Connecticut, and the top players are gonna be here. Be there as some of the world's best women compete for the title at the Connecticut Open presented by United Technologies. And the boys are back for the Men's Legends event presented by PowerShares Series with John McEnroe, James Blake, and more. Experience a variety of food trucks, hands-on activities, live music, and so much more for the kids and family. It all adds up to one legendary week. August 21st through the 29th at the Connecticut Tennis Center in New Haven. Get your tickets at ctopen.org.
Yeah, hey, this is John Ratzberger. You're listening to HANradio.com.
Hey, Don, guess who just got back today?
Those wild-eyed boys that have been away?
Yeah, haven't been around, had much to say. Yes, more
Them cats are crazy.
little idiocy here on Nutmeg Sports. John Kovach sitting in for Rob Adams, Don Eng, and A.J. Simonowski on the controls and offering their commentary from the Peanut Gallery. We just talked to Bill Bloxham about Legion Ball and those playoffs. Little League tournaments in full swing as well. Rich Patera, who does a great job following this with Sports Fairfield and those other related sites, joining us by phone.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. What's going on, Rich?
Not too much. Trying to stay out of the weather outside.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here. It's now. Are there games tonight?
There are no games tonight. The District 2 tournament just wrapped up, and we're heading down to divisionals on Wednesday.
And who are the teams to watch?
So out of District 2, which, as you guys have known over the last couple of years, has been one of the premier districts in the country, really.
Oh, yeah.
Fairfield American, once again, for the fourth time in 5 years, is coming out of District 2, and they're making their run again to win state and go down to regionals. And then there's a couple teams out of the other districts that are going to be meeting in the Darien Stamford area this week. The hot teams I'm hearing are Hamden, and I'm hearing North Stamford has a very good pitcher as well as a great offense to go along with it.
That dovetails with what Bill Bloxham just said to us. I mean, Stamford's baseball, they're dominant in Legion. I mean, just ridiculous numbers there. And here you're telling us North Stamford's already got a Little League team that's one of the stronger ones. I mean, they just reload down there. How do they do it?
Yeah, you know, it's just you got a big city over there. You got a lot of kids playing ball. I got the chance when I was covering the Wilton team last year, right before their game. I was watching this age group of kids from North Stamford playing, and I watched this pitcher, and he was just throwing heat all over. They're big kids too. Don't fool you, 12-year-olds. They're big 12-year-olds down there.
Yeah, they are, and they've always prided themselves. I mean, it's closer to 30 years ago than I really want to admit, but I was working in sports at a weekly newspaper down in the Darien, Stamford area. And somebody new had come in to take over one of the suburban Little Leagues and had come in from Stamford. And the whole pitch was, I'm going to teach these guys Stamford baseball. And that still is a phrase that kind of carries with it something that they play Stamford baseball. You trace it back to before Bobby Valentine was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, when you really start getting something going, and you see this in more than just baseball, all sports, once you start getting that tradition, that culture really going, you really find yourselves, the talent just keeps getting better and better.
It's about getting the kids to believe in that tradition and being part of that culture and that tradition and that success story.
Exactly.
Fairfield American, same thing. Now, what sets them apart that for the fourth time in 5 years they're at this level?
You know, I think part of it is these kids, you're finding a lot of kids who just love playing baseball. There's, over the last 5 years, it's become a must to win the district, not even win the district, but win the state and get to regionals. Again, District 2 baseball has won the state championship the last 5 years, dating back to the 2010 team where you had kids like Tom Ryan and Nick Nardone pitching that big game against Rhode Island to get to the Little League World Series in Williamsport. It's one of those traditions now, as we were talking about. where you got kids coming back. I know I saw Brendan Dusher at a couple practices for this Fairfield American team. You got guys coming back to really get these guys going and get that direction starting.
Well, it's that common theme again that we hit on when we were talking to Bill about, and as you well know, because you're a football coach, I'm a football coach, they're cracking down on you having really anything to do with the kids in the off season. The passing leagues are kind of the real target. You let the kids go out, and it's the kids buying in, and it's the kids passing on their knowledge to the next generation.
Right. And, I mean, when you're talking the real basics of any sport, I think kids are sometimes the best coaches of it. Something as simple as taking ground balls and throwing it to first and turning a double play, just practicing that over and over again. The past couple of years, I've gone and watched a couple Fairfield American practices, and the best Fairfield American teams I've seen are the ones that you're just doing the routine plays over and over and over again. And I think kids, as simple as it is, and maybe you disagree, but as simple it is, those fundamental drills, kids are great at teaching each other that.
Yes, they are.
And sometimes adult coaches overlook that. And not to say everybody is, but especially at the youth level in Little League Baseball, it's those fundamental plays that win games.
Some adult coaches overlook things like that, and also, and maybe not so much for you, as you didn't play as long ago as I did. Techniques have changed, strategies have changed. I mean, just take football. Football's a different game, the game I coach, from the game I played in high school.
Well, I mean, I played for Tony Catapano at Ward, and that's one of the true wing T coaches. And I think probably back when you played as well, everything was just power football and slamming it down people's throats. Today you're seeing more of a. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were a wing T team in high school where I was, but that was back in the, you were right on the Tubby, Raymond, Delaware. Everybody was doing the Delaware wing T, whether you had the athletes to do it or not.
Yeah, that's what it was. Now everybody's seeing the New England Patriots style, where you have more of a zone offense, where you're telling the running back, hey, look for the hole, and you're telling your lineman, all you got to do is take your reach and hook a guy. And it's a much simpler offense, I think, but the whole technique of it is very different, where you need quicker linemen rather than bigger linemen, although bigger linemen always help. And you're passing the ball a lot more, too.
You are, and you're also, and I think this gets lost, when you go to the spread, you're forcing your linemen to block in space more than if you're packed into, say, a no-split end zone or wing T type offense. You've got to have guys who can move to make the block.
Right. I mean, when you talk about that wing T offense, it was assignment blocking. This is who you blocked, and you've got to make sure you get the right technique on him. With this zone offense, it's literally what the name is. You're looking for your zone, and you block your zone. You got to get to that area, make sure he's going in the direction you want him. And there's no set hole necessarily for the running back. It's inside zone, outside zone. You look for that hole. Once you find it, you pop through it.
Fine green. It looks real complex. It looks exceptionally complex when the real good teams do it. But really, it's just about finding the seam. Let's get back to our baseball talk now as we go into this. Fairfield American, the favorite again?
I think history tends to repeat itself. They got two strong pitchers. Andrew Wimes, who's been their ace. He's doing the last couple games. And then Charlie Mount, who he's a big kid. He throws the ball real hard. He's arguably the same as Wimes, but he's definitely their number two right now. I mean, two pitchers can carry you through the state for a little while. It makes me a little nervous on that atmosphere. We want to see a few more pitches with pitchers, which I've been told they have. They just haven't pitched them yet, but that's to be seen. Otherwise, this team just hits the crap out of the ball. Up and down the lineup, Nick Morris, one of the players, he went 3 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs. in the district final against Westport. Andrew Wine's another kid who went yard. Will Lundrigan went 3 for 3, and you got kids who are stepping up in the right times and just hitting the ball.
Chris Kalin checking in. Cato more as plugged in as anybody with Stamford baseball, and he's saying the team that you were talking about is called Stamford North, and it's a merge of the North Stamford and Springdale Little Leagues. So that's quite a talent pool to draw from.
It is, and again, you're talking a big town, or a big city rather. It almost, I mean, to get slightly off topic again, you look at North End and Bridgeport right now. Cal Ripken Jr. just donated a lot of money to put in some beautiful turf fields over in the North End field, and now North End is pulling from the entire city of Bridgeport. That's the biggest district of all the teams I've seen. I'm waiting for them to really start pulling in the athletes, and with this new field, if North End can get to the way they were back in the day when they were winning everything, they were kind of the Fairfield American team, they should be a real powerhouse. But that's what reminds me kind of the Stanford merger that you were just saying. If that's the case, that's a big deal for Stanford. That's something that's going to help them a lot.
How great a deal would it be for Bridgeport, though, to have North End get good again? And as you said, Cal Ripken Jr. and the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, they've funded fields in Black Rock and now the North End. They're rebuilding these facilities. Let's give these kids something positive to do in Bridgeport. And I would love to see Bridgeport become a sports town again.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You got Fairfields and the other towns, Westport, that you have the kids who can afford to play baseball outside of Little League and afford the personal training and afford the batting cages. So it's a gift to them a gift to them. When you got the inner city kids, I mean, they can use anything they can get, and I think they really appreciate everything they get. It's a whole different atmosphere, baseball. So if this starts turning into something, I mean, imagine how awesome it'll be to see a Bridgeport team that not only has gotten to where they are, but really earned it as far as putting something together. And kudos to the North End board for getting this whole thing with Cal Ripken going. I mean, I went over there a couple months ago and looked at the field, and it's all turf. It's awesome.
I've seen pictures.
That's your tradition that you're talking about.
And I'd love to see that resurrected. And let's also get those teams from Bridgeport, and this is another topic for another show, to the point where it's not like they qualify for a national tournament and then they can't go because they can't afford the travel, which I've seen happen a couple of times in the recent past.
Right.
Rich Patera of Sports Fairfield, thank you so much for joining us. Be talking to you later down at Authentic Athlete. And
yeah, we'll be having a level over here tonight to do a event with EJ Zebro from Train Away Pain. They'll be talking about the do's and don'ts of training for football.
Oh, very cool. That's going to be a very good presentation. And you'll do that for any team that wants to, right?
Yeah, any program that wants to. We do custom goods here for teams. We do a lot of jerseys. So one of the things that we want to do is get supportive with the local community. Bring them in, talk about what their sport is, make sure we have a trained professional here to really give them an honest opinion on the do's and don'ts. And it's just a good overall event for the community.
Very cool. And how can somebody reach you if they want to book one of those for their team?
We're located in Fairfield on the Post Road right off of exit 21. Phone number is 203-955-1511. And we're here 7 days a week.
Rich Patera of Sports Fairfield, the Authentic Athlete. Thanks for joining us talking Little League. We will talk to you soon. We're going to step out, take a quick break, come back, talk more baseball, and then check in with Rob Adams. The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersam.
August means tennis in Connecticut, and the top players are going to be at the Connecticut Open, presented by United Technologies. Live music, food trucks, plus the superstars of women's tennis and the men's Legends event, presented by the Power Shares Series. August 21st through the 29th. Get your tickets at ctopen.org.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports. John Kovach with Donald Lang, A.J. Simonowski on the controls. Thank our guests so far, Bill Bloxham, Rich Patera of Sports Fairfield. Had a great talk with both of them. Rocco Veluzzo joining us from the Weston Forum, another Hersam Acorn sports editor. And Rocco, you've got a 10 and 11-year-old travel team down there in Weston that's won 7 straight, and the 11 and 12-year-olds made it to the district final. They're doing something right with baseball in Weston.
Yes, John. Considering Weston has a small talent pool compared to a lot of the other towns in the area, of course. They've managed to put together some teams who've done quite well in their respective age brackets.
What's making the difference there? Are they defensive teams? Are they hitting teams? Are they pitching teams?
Well, I'd say they're a combination. I know with the 12-year-old teams, that team has been playing together a while, though. The core group of players, I believe. That team was started, I think, they played as like 8 and unders, I think. It was at 2011. The coach, Semi Esposito, had just he started that team there as at 7 and 8 years old, and they've just improved every year since then. And they've got some guys who can hit the ball. I mean, it was as was demonstrated in the losers bracket final. In the district, I'm sorry, the losers bracket final when they won, I think, an 18-11 decision. That it was a hitting festival, and they just got the hits, and they had several homers, and that put them over the top.
I'm looking at this story that you have up right now about the 10 and 11-year-old travel team that's won 7 straight. Mm-hmm. They've had 9 guys take the mound to pitch. That's amazing.
Yeah, they've got evidently they've got some guys who are capable of going on the mound like that, and it's been quite a help as you know, because at that young age group you're only allowed I forget what the pitch count is, maybe 60, 65 per player, and that rule must be followed. So when you can get a guy to step in like that when a teammate reaches his pitch count, then that makes quite a difference.
That also could build you some depth in 4 or 5 years when these guys are playing for Weston High School.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the coach at Weston High has been following a lot of this stuff and is looking down the road and to when he might be getting a few of them. And, that could definitely make quite a difference. Because at Weston, Weston High School, like the youth teams, it's a small school compared to a lot of other teams in the Southwest Conference. So, again, that helps them.
How big a Little League program or youth baseball program, since Little League is trademarked, I don't want to get in trouble with them, does Weston have?
Oh, I heard about that. Somebody told me the numbers about that recently. It's only like a few hundred kids.
Wow.
But they, it's like teams like in other towns, like even like Fairfield or Trumbull, where they have enough at any specific age group, they have like a Trumbull national team or a Trumbull American team, where Weston just has the one team for that age group, and Stanford even bigger pool of talent there. But Weston managed to get in at the 12-year-old level, and that marked the first time Weston had reached the district finals in the league in any age bracket, I believe.
That's great progress. I love when a team goes into uncharted territory. It's always a great story, and it's great when it's the small town.
Yes, indeed, and I wonder what's going to happen. Well, next year these guys are going to be moving up. This is the last year's Little League, so and comes Babe Ruth. It'll be interesting what they do next season at a whole different level.
How's baseball do against lacrosse in Weston?
Let's see. Well, it's sort of like alternated different years. Now, Weston lacrosse, since it first came on board a few years ago, it's been pretty consistent. It's made the Class S tournament every year, and it's gone far in quite a few years too. Like this past the spring, of course, it gets to the finals again against St. Joseph of Trumbull, marking the fourth time in like I forget how many 6 seasons that they've actually gone to the finals and faced each other. But baseball peaked like a couple seasons ago in Weston. It won its first Southwest Conference championship. They were on the rise, and they had some really great players. And then this year was sort of, I think, a rebuilding year. But they were at the same level for a while there, both lacrosse and baseball.
I mean, just great stuff. Great to see them making progress. Any other big sports news happening in Weston this summer?
Let's see. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I mean, Weston's got a bunch of teams playing at the district levels. You've got the 9 and 10-year-olds and the 10, 11-year-olds and like that. But I think the baseball has been the talk of the town lately there.
And it's great to see, and it's a great run for those kids. Rocco Veluzzo from the Weston Forum. Thanks for calling us on HAN Radio. Thanks for calling us on HAN Radio, Nutmeg Sports. We'll talk to you shortly.
Okay.
Rocco Veluzzo joining us. Couple of notes here. We're still following the playoff in the Open, waiting for the finish there. We are... looks like Zach Johnson is out ahead in by 1 stroke over Louis Oosthuizen. Rob Adams now joining us from his assignment. Rob, thanks for calling into your own show.
Yeah.
You there?
Yep, I've got you. You hear me?
There we go. Now we got you. As I said, thanks for calling into your own show. Now, where are you bound today?
You're right. Thanks for allowing me to call my own show.
I was gonna say it's Rob Adams, long-time caller, first-time listener.
Long-time host, first-time caller.
I am heading to Walden, New York, to a country club out there. We'll be taking part, or not really playing, but certainly interviewing some of the people out there at the Stuart A. Kroll golf tournament that is being hosted by his son, Brian Kroll. Stuart Kroll died a few months ago, and Brian has set up this golf tournament in his father's honor. Of course, Brian, one of the co-hosts of the clubhouse that runs here on HANradio.com.
That sounds like it's going to be a fun event, and it's especially with it such a huge day for golf internationally that's still unfolding at the old course at St. Andrews.
Yeah, I was able to watch some. I kind of lost track of it, but I know how well the leaders have been doing, and hey, that's the cradle of golf right there.
You're in the they just finished the third hole of the three-way playoff, I believe.
Okay, there we go.
So, looking now, say a 3-hole. I thought it was a 4-hole playoff. Yeah, it's a 4-hole playoff. I'm looking. One graphic is saying 3-hole playoff. It's a 4-hole. It's a 3-way 4-hole playoff.
Now it's a great day for us to go up and do that because Brian, who works for CBS Sports for the CBS Sports Network, he's done some stuff with the Golf Channel as well, and he'll be a good guy to talk to later today.
And you're going to do a special edition of Nutmeg Sports from up there in Walden, correct?
Correct. We are aiming for a 5:30 start as players start coming off the course. If early, we will tweet it, but we'll let you know when we're going on the air for sure.
Very cool. And then we've got this huge weekend coming up with Babe Ruth baseball from Trumbull, and we're going to bring you a lot of baseball.
It is. It's 15 games stretching between Friday morning and Tuesday. I'm still trying to assemble who else is going to help me keep my voice fresh for those days. But, it's exciting. To be the voice of a tournament, to help get these kids ready to go from Trumbull down to Tennessee for the championship, it's exciting stuff. And I do hope that there's a team that, we can follow because we'll be into it. We'll be into keeping track of who that team is. And you never know. Maybe we're making a trip to Tennessee after that. But for now, we'll focus on this weekend and enjoy what we get to see.
And that's going to be 4 games on Friday. And we're starting with morning baseball, which few things beat that.
Yeah, I agree. 10:30 Friday morning. So for our listeners on HAN Radio, we will have all the baseball for you. We will try to get some shows into the mix as well as Friday and Saturday and Sunday go along. But for those who enjoy Coffee Break and Radio Arts and Behind the News and The Drive, you're going to have to stick to HAN on the live stream video side, and that's where we'll get you that. We'll get your Radio Arts on the radio side.
Rob and I had a great time at Terry Connor's rink the other night. Big assist 7. Cam Atkinson tweeting today, and Rob and I retweeted it. Follow him on Twitter, and he is looking to collect, kind of helping a fund drive for the 4 Marines and 1 sailor who were gunned down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's Cam Atkinson 13 is his Twitter handle, and he is urging visits to forcenetwork.com to make those donations. And sticking with hockey, we knew this was coming, and we had the official presser this afternoon. Martin St. Louis hanging up his skates, and I for one, am sorry to see him go.
I am too. One of the class acts of the National Hockey League, a league that had so many class acts to begin with. But Martin St. Louis was a scorer, a sniper, just a great guy on the ice. So fun to watch. Not the biggest of guys, but what he did with Tampa Bay and leading, a very unlikely franchise to a Stanley Cup. You don't think of the Stanley Cup residing in Tampa, and yet there it was with that group, with that whole group down there, led by San Luis, and then he came to the Rangers and really galvanized the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals against Jonathan Quick and the LA Kings. He's going to be missed in the National Hockey League, but I do think it was the right call. It was probably time for him to do it.
I think he had to be frustrated by his performance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Everybody was looking for more goals from him. They didn't get it. You didn't get the emotional bump that you got last year with the terrible story of him losing his mother, the team coming around him, that emotion carrying the Rangers maybe a little farther than they should have gone, or maybe they should have done a little better. This year, I think they fell short, and I think it was a lack of scoring, and the production wasn't there.
I agree. I thought last year they had a little team of destiny thing about them. This year, I thought they were the team to beat. They won the President's Trophy. They were the #1 seed going into the playoffs, and I thought they flamed out pretty badly in the playoffs because of a lack of scoring. Maybe Martin St. Louis just realized it was time. He'd gotten older, and he just couldn't do it anymore.
He'll be missed because he was such a class act, and I'll watch a class act play even if he does lose a half a step.
I agree.
So you got to be excited to be going up because I know you love golf.
I do. The only thing I'm kind of bummed about is that I'm not able to actually play at the tournament. That's okay. We'll see some golf again. I saw it last Monday for sure, and I'm still recovering from that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's this is a family program. There'll be, kids. There might be kids listening. I'm not sure we want to talk about Monday. AJ, your thoughts on that?
Oh, definitely not work, radio, or video safe stories. Stories happening on the golf course.
Not that anything was inappropriate.
No,
the golf was.
Well, I don't know about that. I actually thought we played pretty well. Slowly, apparently, but pretty well.
Yeah, I think there were times. I think all of us hit shot. Here's the problem with golf. You're going to go out, no matter how few times you go out, and you're going to hit that handful of shots that lead you to believe that you can actually perform this activity.
Exactly, and that is the fallacy of golf. It does just enough to keep bringing you back, and then one hole later, you're reminded that no, you don't in fact know what you're doing.
And it doesn't take much.
All right, shoot,
I have
Rob.
a question, by the way. Is it over?
Yeah, it's over. Hit the soda machine. Okay, I can hope, can I? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did airmail one over to Green. Yes, I did. And I did ask if it was over because I was hoping it had done something miraculous. Like the day I watched a guy scull a wedge and it hit the flag in the wind and dropped 6 inches from the cup. And if it didn't hit the flag, it would have been about 40 yards beyond life itself. I mean, what a beautiful, brutal, frustrating game. And it looks like we've stayed with you long enough to join everybody else in reporting that Zach Johnson of the United States has prevailed in the 4-hole playoff and won the British Open. And that ends the... I was really kind of hoping... I'm happy for Zach Johnson. I was kind of hoping for a Grand Slam.
I was too. I thought Jordan could hang around long enough, but I am happy. Johnson's a good player, so there's no question that I'm happy that he won, but Spieth winning would have been very cool.
Yes, and I just, here's my hope. My hope is that the PGA, and this is a discussion for another Nutmeg Sports, my hope is that Spieth falling short doesn't take all the air out of the sails of the PGA Championship, which I always feel is kind of the other major, the overlooked major, and that if they would go back to a match play format like they did for years, it would breathe some new life into it.
Yeah, the PGA is kind of the ugly stepchild, especially when you throw the PGC into it now, because that has become the fifth major, whether people like to admit it or not.
True. And this just breaking out of Quebec, they have submitted their candidacy to the National Hockey League in an effort to bring back the Nordiques.
Ooh, I love it.
I love that. They never should have left.
I love that.
Huge mistake.
I love that. I like seeing the return of the Canadian teams. I don't think we should have hockey in, Miami or Atlanta or Phoenix or some of these other places that have had it.
Charlotte.
You don't need more hockey teams in California than you have baseball teams in California. And I think you pretty much do.
And it's also false economics because as the world's greatest website for Number Geeks 538 points out, just because there are 5 times more people in a certain city than there is in another city, Winnipeg has twice as many hockey fans.
Correct.
As Phoenix, even though it's a city of about 20% the size of Phoenix.
I might even argue that Winnipeg has twice as many hockey fans as Arizona.
And by the way, guys, speaking of the old Quebec Nordiques, if you've never been to Quebec City, go. It is just a wonderful place to visit.
I have heard that. One last thing before stay with us, Rob. One last thing before we wrap up. Dave Stewart at the New Canaan Advertiser reporting Curtis Casale, who over the weekend, a walk-off home run. He is batting 8th as the Tampa Bay Rays visit the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. First pitch, 7:05. Rob, have fun up there. 5:30, you'll be on with guests. You're going to talk golf, and there's a lot of golf to talk about today.
Very this. It'll be a fun day for all of us. Hopefully we'll get some good names on for you, some good interviews, and just to support Brian, who's a great guy and has been so good to us.
He has been, and I hope this raises a lot of money for that cause. Rob Adams, thanks for joining us on your show.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and that's going to do it for Nutmeg Sports on this Monday. Congratulations to Zach Johnson. Thank you to Bill Bloxam, Rich Patera, Rocco Veluzzo, and Rob Adams. Thanks the most for the guys who get me through this. Donald Lang, AJ Simonowski. Was a blast, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Want to get in touch with HAN Radio? You can find us on Twitter at Hersam Radio, on Facebook at Hersam Acorn Radio, or email us at radio@hersamacorn.com.